Of the series on the life of Solomon, because we've been talking this all these weeks to explore his character, explore who he is and the favors that God has given him, and how he became the king, and how God visited him 2 times. God visited him first time and asked him, what do you want? And he asked for wisdom. And God not only gave him the wisdom, but he also gave him everything, the wealth, everything to him, because he chose what is right. And so we saw that God used Solomon to build the temple of God. That he's been waiting for 400 years, when they came to the promised land. And so they don't have a place of worship, they don't have a temple, they don't have a place where they could put the tabernacle in the presence of God to offer the sacrifices and offerings and all that. So after 400 years, we saw that, even though the King David has the desire to do it, but God didn't allow King David to do it because he is a warrior, he has blood on his hands. So he don't want him to build a holy temple. So that is why he raised his son Solomon and gave his time, peace, so he don't fight, he don't have blood in his hands, and made him to build the temple. That is why all these years God waited for the right time to let Solomon build the temple. So, now we saw the temple has been built and the temple has been consecrated, and then with all the pompous, they are doing sacrifices at the temple, and they put the God name of, in the favor, and everybody are coming and worshiping, sacrificing. So it's a joyful situation to the Israelites. It's something they've been dreaming of for years. Now they have their own land, they have their own temple, they have the God that they can worship freely. And so God was doing everything to Solomon's life. He was being with him, he was blessing him. And Solomon was faithful to him. We see that the Solomon not only, when he became the king, the first thing he gave his importance to God. He built the God's house first. He didn't look at his worldly things. He built his first the God's house. And once he built the God's house, then he built his palace. And then he built the house of his wife. And then his government buildings. So basically what we see here is his priorities. Last week we looked at it. His priorities are first God, then himself, and then the others. So we can see the way he was very good, very things doing in order, and God was favoring him. Why I was saying all this is very, very important, the topic I'm going to this today, because today is the crux of the life of Solomon, a man with so much blessing, so much integrity, somebody who had lived to God, who had done everything to God, and God had done everything to him, and how he collapsed. Because this story, will help our life, and everyone who is listening on the YouTube or Facebook, whatever, wherever it is, this story dictates to us the mistakes what you and I, anybody can able to, we all are victims, we all can be a victim of this. A wisest king in the world ever lived, a Solomon, can have this debacle. You and I are nothing. We can be trapped into this mistake and downfall very easily. So why God had put the story in the Bible is for us to look at this, see this man's life. I had done everything to him. I kept my commandment to him, and what he did. And if you disobey my word, what will I do? These are the consequences. God was very clear. You follow me, I bless you. You disobey me, you will see the wrath. So this is a powerful story which generations had felt the consequences of this disobedience. And so I want you all to pay attention to this story. This is a little bit longer, comparatively, because I want to finish this today. And so let's look at the 1 Kings chapter 1, 1 to 9. When Solomon had finished building the temple of the Lord and the royal palace, and had achieved all he had desired to do, the Lord appeared to him a second time, as he had appeared to him at Gibeon. The Lord said to him, I have heard the prayer and plea you have made before me. I have consecrated this temple, which you have built, by putting my name there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. As for you, if you walk before me in integrity of heart and of righteousness, as David your father did, and do all I command and observe my decrees and laws, I will establish your throne, royal throne over Israel forever, as I had promised David your father, when I said, you shall never fail to have a man on the throne of Israel. But if you or your sons turn away from me, and do not observe the commands and decrees I have given you, and go off to serve other gods and worship them, then I will cut off Israel from the land I have given them, and will reject this temple I have consecrated for my name. Israel will then become a byword and an object of ridicule among all peoples. And though this temple is now imposing, all who pass by will be appalled and will scoff and say, why has the Lord done such a thing to this land and to this temple? People will answer, because they have forsaken the Lord their God, who brought their fathers out of Egypt, and have embraced other gods, worshipping and serving them. And that is why the Lord brought all of this disaster on them. It's a powerful, powerful words. And we'll look into it. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for the word you have given. Lord, as we go and meditate this word, Lord, let you speak through me. Let your words come through my mouth. Open our hearts that this word stick to us, and help us to live a life learning from these mistakes, from what Solomon had done. And Lord, help us to be a vessel in your hands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You know, this episode provides a conclusion of the book's account of the first 20 years of Solomon's reign. First 7 years he built the temple, next 30 years he built the palace. After 20 years, here God comes again to him. He made his appearance to Solomon. See, God's initial appearance, we saw that, before he rose to power, God came and asked him for wisdom, and then asked him what he wanted, he asked for wisdom. Here, he comes here and tells him, I'm going to honor the eternal side of the Davidic covenant. The temporal portion of the covenant, the part about Solomon and his descendants, however, is dependent on human obedience. So there are two types of covenants here. Whatever God promised to David, that your eternal covenant will be there. I will fulfill it. That's unconditional. But whatever temporal covenant that you and your children have to be on the throne will only be done then based on the human obedience. There's a condition there. Here God was telling him to very clearly, God wanted him so much. God wanted through David to Solomon. God wanted in the first vision to Solomon. Again, God wanted in the second visitation to Solomon. I will bless you as long as you follow. But if you disobey, you will face the consequences. And, what we see here is embracing of other gods will result in the most devastating consequences. God had showed in Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 27, 28. God was very clear. If you worship other gods, if you leave me, then the consequences will be severe. And he explained what those will be in the chapter. So it's not like Solomon doesn't know what is going to happen. It was very clear written in the scriptures. God will cut off Israel from the land. He said, I will reject this temple and make Israel a byword and an object of ridicule among all people. So basically, he was saying cut off basically means secluded from the fellowship of God's people. That means they'll be removed from the promised land. And so but God was, when God says reject, implies divorce. Finally, becoming a byword in ancient times means was a calamity. When people look at it, they can see that God's wrath is on them. So people laugh, by looking at it. They become a mocking. There may be people scoff at the Israelites. So that is what happens. God was telling, if you don't follow, all these things is waste. I don't care about temple. Everything will be gone. I want you and your children, your hearts towards me. And if it turns away, this is what happens. When we look at Solomon's rise, I want to give the blessings what God has given. We saw that God had promised Solomon blessings. And 24, when we look at 1 Kings 9, 10 to 28, we see that 24 years of Solomon's reign, over half of it, has now been discussed. The king had enjoyed successes in every area of his life. He had subdued his rivals, organized the nation, built himself a palace, large temple, and he's a businessman. Okay? He's a king, but he's a businessman. He had good alliances with the neighbors, different kings, established, trade routes, good at foreign and domestic affairs. So he was very impressive with his reign. He was successful, he was making a lot of money, and what we see is of all this, can he sustain this level of excellence? Because he was at the peak. Everybody were talking about him. He was like a superpower at that time. Everybody wants to do business with them. Everybody wants to do trade with them, Israel. So will he remain faithful to the Lord? Are these issues related? So these are the things we'll look at. What happened? What is that? The first segment offers an overview of the king's activities, including his building, domestic policy, and trade agreements. I will just go over those. Next, the famous Queen of Sheba story demonstrates Solomon's wisdom. And then we look at the chronicle of his wealth. And then we'll see the Solomon slide into idolatry. And the opposition God allows to hinder Solomon and the man who eventually divided the nation. See here, Solomon was ruling, 24 years. He had a very great 24 years. It was all successful time because he is faithful to the Lord. God blessed him. He was prosperous. People are blessed. Everything was good. And so here we see that, here what Solomon was doing is, he married his wife is the Egyptian wife. Actually, he should not marry foreign wives, but he married an Egyptian wife here. And the Egyptian wife should not be in the, he never put her in the David's palace. Because he can't put in the David's palace because if Solomon thinks the ark went to the palace, so anywhere the ark went, it is holy. So a pagan woman should not enter the holy place. So the Egyptian wife was not allowed to come into the king's palace. That is why his wife is in a separate place. She is not in the temple palace. That is why we see in the scripture that he built her a separate palace because she worshipped other gods and he don't want her worshipping other gods make the place unholy. So that is the way Solomon was so much into that. He was very much into God. He wants to make sure that no unholiness comes into the midst. But what is happening after this 24 years here, because he married an Egyptian wife, he had good relations with the Pharaoh of Egypt, and Pharaoh of Egypt was very helpful to him. He had conquered one city and killed all the Canaanites in that area, and then gave that city to Solomon as a gift for marrying his wife, his daughter. So that city has been burned, and Solomon had to rebuild that city, and he built all the palaces and the stables and all that in that place. So he had a good relationship with Egypt, and you see that one of the kings we saw that who helped him in the timber and all that. So he was maintaining a very good relation with Tyre and Egypt. But what happened is, after 24 years, slowly the regions were changed. The pharaoh, the king whose daughter he married, has changed. So the new pharaoh came in, and this new pharaoh obviously did not like Solomon. So he started supporting Solomon's enemies. So the relationship slowly started, a little bit, going away. But what is happening is, there are domestic tensions within Israel. So far everybody are great, but now the domestic tensions also start growing well after this 24 years. The northern tribes feel that they were shouldering more of the burden. Israel, if you look at it, there are 12 tribes. Like 10 tribes are called northern tribes, 2 tribes are called Judah. Judah is the King David came from. So Judah and Benjamin are from tribe of Judah. That's their king. So these 12 tribes together are ruled by King David and King Solomon. So what happened is, these 10 tribes felt that I'm taking the more burden of the tax, or more burden of doing the work, and why the favor was coming to Judah. And so he started a little bit, people started getting a little bit uneasy with the policies. Despite such complications, however, Solomon was able to maintain order mostly because of his economic prowess. Because country is rich, country is prosperous. Nobody could do anything because everybody is making so much money. And Israel enjoyed prosperity for most of these years because of Solomon's ability to utilize the trade potential that remained at his disposal. So he increased the trade, he had prosperity everywhere. So when you have richness and everybody starts getting comfortable, even though there are little bit problems here and there, people never gave him a hard time. So Solomon used to build the ships, and then he used to let the people from Tyre used to operate the ship. So he had a shipping partnership with Hiram of Tyre, and so using this, they both are making money. Israel were building the ships. King of the people of Tyre they are the sea people, so they know how to operate sea. So they were together making a lot of trade. So even though these are different kings, they are working collaboratively together. And he had the partnerships with these caravans, from different people, the spices, and he established like a huge trade establishment everywhere. And think about America. The world economy runs around America. If the American economy is down, if America stops trading, everything collapses. It was like that. Israel was the anchor of trade. They have the money, they have the riches, they have the talent. Everybody was running through Israel. So everybody wants to do business with them because they were prosperous. Their kingdom was big. And so what we see all this is, the foreign relationships, how he was able to establish, how he was able to successfully do it. The Solomon and Hiram friendship lasted as long as both men lived. When Solomon's death and the Egyptian administration changed, then they started getting the downfall. See, when Hiram was helping Solomon in building the temple and all that, remember, he gave him a promise, I want food for the king's household. But what Solomon did is, later the years, he gave him some 20 cities, which are like a deserted cities, and King Hiram did not like it, what Solomon had offered him. he found it hobbled, worthless. But he still did business with Solomon because he's making a lot of money using Israel friendship. And then his forced labor, we saw that, because Solomon became so rich, he started building all these palaces, buildings, stables, chariots, everything is so much accumulated. So constantly he was building, and so there always needs labor. So he was using the people like Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, all these people who they conquered, they are using them as slaves, to help them to build these buildings. And all the Israelites were used as like the way, remember like in Egypt, Pharaoh's people used to be the leaders and Israel used to be the slaves. Here, Solomon was the leader, they are the one, they have all the things, so they used to be the leaders, and then all these people used to be the one who used to build the temple. So he was so much in the building projects, he was constantly in the building this, building that, and so this building, we saw that the Pharaoh's daughter, initially she was in Israel, and then she was moved out to, she was in Jerusalem, but not in the palace, but later on moved to a separate place because of the, holiness, because she worshipped other gods. So, see, for whatever reason, the nation must bear the expenses of a new separate palace. Pharaoh's daughter worshipped different gods from the Israelites. So what the mistake Solomon was doing, you can see these things here. You see, God forbid Solomon not to marry foreign marriage, but he did here. So what he was doing is, in order to satisfy her, he was building palaces, and because she was worshipping other gods. So he was giving a way to get the other gods into the picture, into his kingdom. Before it was not, because they are all worshipping Jehovah God. But now he was giving that, he got into the little bit compromisation there. So she is the only non-Israelite royal wife mentioned. The problem she causes will multiply, once we start looking more into the book. And then in the worship side, Solomon was doing, he never neglected God's worship. He was doing it 3 times a day, everything was good, and so his wealth and is exceeded like anything. He was noted everywhere, all around the world. So the Queen of Sheba, she heard about it. Who is this guy? Why he is so successful? What made him to be so successful? So I want to test his wisdom. So she came all the way 1,500 miles, and she came to test his wisdom. So let's look at the Queen of Sheba's visit. In 1 Kings chapter 10, 1 to 13. When the Queen of Sheba heard about the fame of Solomon and his relation to the name of the Lord, she came to test him with hard questions, arriving at Jerusalem with a great caravan with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold and precious stones. She came to Solomon and talked with him about all that she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for the king to explain to her. When the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon and the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, attending servants in their robes, cupbearers, the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. She said to the king, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true, but I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told me. In wisdom and wealth, we have far exceeded the report I heard. How happy your men must be, how happy your officials who continually stand before you and hear your wisdom. Praise be to God, praise be to the Lord your God, who has delighted in you and placed you on the throne of Israel. Because the Lord's eternal love for Israel he has made you the king to maintain justice and righteousness." And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices, precious stones, and never again were so many spices brought into those Queen of Sheba gave to Solomon. So here she came all the way, 1,500 miles. She wants to test 2 things. She heard about the fame of Solomon, and then and then she wants to have a trading relationship with him. She wants to explore his abilities. His abilities have earned him the reputation of being the wisest man in this world. This very rich, very successful woman intends to see if he deserves such acclaim. Second, she comes because Solomon's relation to the name of the Lord. In other words, she recognizes that only a great God could produce such a great king. So her thought is two things she wants to get at. One, what is the wisdom of Solomon? How much wisdom he has? What do people are talking about it? And then he wants to see what is his relationship to God? What is his God? Why is he blessing him so much? Who is he? And so, she decides to test it with hard questions, with riddles. And everything she asked him, it's so simple to him. And she was astonished to see that when she actually met him. And then between the confession of Solomon's greatness and the offering of the gifts, the king makes an important statement about the Lord, saying she claims that the God deserves praise for choosing him to rule Israel. So she gave the credit to God. She said, because God had chosen you, he deserves praise for choosing you over Israel. The presence of Solomon on the throne proves the Lord's eternal love for Israel. Both non-Jewish monarchs recognize God's primacy in Israel history. All the people, all the kings who are non-Israelites, they saw that. They saw the power of God. They recognized it. But the problem is, Solomon and future kings of Israel choose to ignore what even a non-covenant rulers seem to know is true. God rules Israel, and God blesses obedient Israelite kings. This is what all the people in the world believed at that time, that God rules Israel. But that is something they lost that focus, they lost that point, and then that resulted to the decline of this Israel. Now we see that the Queen Sheba gave the gifts, and Solomon gave the gifts, and she went back, she established a relationship. She was there from Arabia, so there was land of spices. So she's very big on spices, so she gave a lot of spices, and they had established these spices to trade relationship. So the Solomon well, the weight of the gold that Solomon received yearly was 666 talents, not including the revenues from merchants and traders and from all the Arabian kings and the governors of the land. So he is like, see 666 talent. What is that talent meaning? The talent was the heaviest or largest biblical unit of measurement for weight, equal to 75 pounds or 35 kilograms. So that is just the gold he gets every year. And in addition, he gets a lot of revenues from merchants, traders, and all that. So he had so much money, he was putting everything. His throne is ivory, all these vessels he used is full of gold. Gold is everywhere. Silver is worthless in the kingdom. They are useless because they have so much gold. So everything he is doing is with gold. His articles, the king's coffers were gold, household articles in the palace and the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. Nothing was made of silver because silver was considered of little value in Solomon's days. So that's the kind of richness he was. He was the richest man in the world and the wisest man in the world. And he had chariots and horses. He used to buy horses from all over the world, the best stuff, best chariots, best horses. And he kept building the stables everywhere. So what happened is he overloaded his government because he had so many riches. And he was building, and he didn't know what to do. And all this, the money already kicked into his mind. Eventually the downfall will come when you're so much wealthy and you forget how you came to that point. And that is what happened in the Solomon's life. He acted as a middleman to all these countries. So everything going around in Egypt, Syria, Arabia, and the Mediterranean world, he was there. He was a key figure in international trade. So now we come back to 23, 25. In these verses offer the final confirmation that God has indeed kept his promise to make Solomon wiser than all. Let's read chapter 10, 23 to 25. King Solomon was greater in riches and wisdom than all the other kings of the earth. The whole world sought audience with Solomon to hear the wisdom God has put in his heart. Year after year, everyone who came brought a gift, articles of silver and gold, robes, weapons, spices, horses, and mules. So what we see here is that the final confirmation that God has indeed kept his promise to make Solomon wiser than all who came before or follow after him. And Solomon's wisdom is said to have exceeded all the other kings of the earth. Just as the Queen of Sheba had talked about him, everybody was talking about him and gave him good gifts. And so now what we look is, the point of the next book episode is to explore what Solomon did with this favor during the last years in his power. What did he do? He got so much favor from God. God was with him. He blessed him. And let's look at this, the decline. This we see that in 1 Kings chapter 11. One final assessment of Solomon now appears. Unlike the earlier ones, this account lays bare the faults and the frailties of this brilliant man. These failings affect the king himself, but they affect the nation more. See, a lot of times people think a sin only affects me. No, it affects that person, it affects their family, and it affects people surrounding them. There are always consequences. Here, his failings affect the king himself, but they affect the nation more. So people who have certainly worked hard and enjoyed the material success during their latest, wisdom days. They seem to be faithful to the Lord till now. Unlike their king Israel was, rightly a crest of power and influence, previously unknown. And the hints of problems appear in the coming verses. We see that the tragic turns take step by step. The plot takes a tragic turn. Solomon and Israel have risen to great heights only to fall into idolatry, division, decay, and ultimately exile. The 4 episodes in Kings begin this story decline. Each stage of Israel's deterioration is made all the more regrettable because of its avoidability. They could have avoided it. It's all a mistake that people do because of their weaknesses. See, covenant faithfulness would have allowed the covenant people blessing and safety, but their disobedience leaves a just God no alternative except to punish. Sometimes we think, why am I going through this? We do not examine what we do. We always question God, but we don't question ourselves. See, this is what happens. When you are faithful to God, and He will bless you. But when you disobey, God has no option but to punish. Solomon's sin may have begun small. It may have developed in stages over time. Let me tell you, sin is very attractive. It always starts small. Satan uses this trap to all the people. Because what happens is, if Satan tells us, if you do this sin, this is the end result, nobody will do the sin. Because the end result will always be dangerous. But Satan, what will it do is, it starts small. It says that it's okay. No big deal. I'm just doing this. It's not going to hurt. That is how it gets hooked up. And then slowly, you end up in a trap. And you could come out. I talked with few pastors in India. And some of them told me that the most of the prayer requests they are getting are the teenagers getting addicted to porn. Because these kids are going into these pictures and videos, they are getting hooked up, and that is hurting their lives and their marriages. Parents do not realize what is going on, but they may think it's okay. I'm just watching the small thing. I'm just seeing the one picture. But Satan will never let you go. It always takes step by step. One more. And you are at a point you cannot. Satan always looks for big points. We always think it's okay, I'm strong, I can do it. But when you come to the weak point, it knocks you out. You can regret, you can repent, but damage is done. This is where life altered. When we see that many of the pastors, when they do the counseling for divorces, right? And when they talk to people, when they're in the counseling process, many people, divorces happen because of adultery. And most of the pastors, what they're trying to do is, they're trying to look at the root cause, because they want to see how they can help to keep the marriage. So when they start digging into the root, they see that most of the problems start with a small conversation with someone who is a colleague at work, or someone in the church, or a friend, whom the other spouse knows the person. So this is a common factor in most of the divorces. And what happens is people start this small conversation, and these conversations grow more and more and more and more. And they don't realize that what they were doing is wrong. They think it's okay, it's only a conversation. But the Satan always is a roaring lion. It always looks for the right trap, right time. And when you're on the weak point, it knocks you out and they commit sin. And then all the cover-ups and all the hiding and all these things will play around, and it destroys both the families. And this is a common problem, what we see. If people had known this small talk is going to lead them to that sin, people will do it. But they think it's okay. I'm just talking. It's a normal talk. So David and Solomon both fallen into the same sin, sexual sin. Big kings. King David was a powerful king, a man of God's heart. And the Solomon is a powerful king. God had used him to build his temple. And both surrendered to the weakness of sexual sin. And God dealt with them, severely. If you look at the David's life, he was a king, he's winning battles. He's doing great. He was supposed to go out and he was sitting on the terrace watching around, saw Bathsheba taking a shower. And then there started a desire in his heart. See, the sin always starts with a desire. See, if that desire can be dealt right there, then the sin will not occur. But if that desire is entertained, that's where the problem is. That's what King David did. He saw her, it may be an accident, but that desire had led him to make to the next step, committing adultery with her, and then killing her husband, who is in the war, fighting for him. He thought nobody knows it, because the only person who knows is his general, because he put a note to him, kill him, because he thought what he did, nobody knows it. Because he thought when his husband is killed in a war, then he can take her as a wife without getting this adultery, that the sin away from him. But God is the one who watches his people. He sent his prophet Nathan. He told him, what did you do? David did not expect that. David thought, I did everything fine. I cover up. Nobody's seen me. Nobody knows. I had done it in secret. But God said, you can't close my eyes. I see you. I see your heart. I know your heart, what you think. I have seen you. You did terrible sin. And you will pay price for that. And we know that David's life tarnished after that incident. The son that was born to Bathsheba and David for that sin died. And his another son raped his another daughter, and another son killed another son. A mess in his family. The blood is everywhere in his family. God deals with this sin severely. And David paid the price. He repented. He asked God forgive him. He begged God. But God forgave him. But the penalty of sin is always there. And he paid consequences for that. So, when we see these stories, when we see these things in the Bible, there is a reason. There is a reason for people to see that don't get into these things. And God will deal with this. And Solomon knows this. Solomon was warned again and again and again. Because God knows what is going to happen. But he still fallen into the sexual sin. Let's look at 1 Kings 11, 1 to 13. King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women, besides Pharaoh's daughter, Moabites, Ammonites, Arameans, Sidonians, Hittites. They are from nations about which the Lord had told Israelites, you must not intermarry with them because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods. Nevertheless, Solomon held fast to them in love. He had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. How many wives he has? 700 wives, 300 concubines. And what did they do? They had led him astray. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. He followed Asherah, the goddess of the Syrians, the Molech, the detestable god of Ammonites. So Solomon did evil in the eyes of the Lord. He did not follow the Lord completely, as David his father has done. On the hill east of Israel, Solomon built a high palace for Chemosh, a detestable god of Moab, and for Molech, a detestable god of Ammonites. He did the same for all his foreign wives who burned incense and offered sacrifices to their gods. The Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart has turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice. Although he had forbidden Solomon to follow other gods, Solomon did not keep the Lord's command. So the Lord said to Solomon, he came back third time, since this is your attitude, and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. Nevertheless, for the sake of David your father, I will not do it during your lifetime. I will tear it out of your hand of your son. Yet I will not tear the whole kingdom from him, but will give him one tribe for the sake of David my servant, and for the sake of Jerusalem which I have chosen. what we see here is, despite the obvious the king was very evident weaknesses for women, especially foreign women. Besides Pharaoh's daughter, he loved all these women. 700 wives. Like the marriage of the Egyptian, he was building a temple for her, for their gods. So what he did is, he slowly started building temples for all these wives, all these gods, to please them, because he loved them. He wanted their love. He didn't care about anything else. For their love, to keep them happy, he is falling into sin and to sin and sin. And first thing, there are several problems Solomon did here. First thing, he disobeyed Moses' law for marriage, which constitutes a breach of the agreement. Solomon makes with God, because there are two agreements made. God made an agreement with Solomon, and Solomon made an agreement with God, his covenant. God told through Moses, Israelites must not intermarry with non-covenant nations. Why? Because God says, they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other gods. See, very clear. Even in scripture, very clear. Do not marry an unbeliever. Do not build a relationship with an unbeliever. Why? Because they do not know God. They'll destroy you. They'll turn you away from the God you worship to the God of the world. I'm not saying God means everything, every idol or something. Everything that you do not worship God, they turn towards the world, turn towards the worldly pleasures, worldly luxuries. And God was dealing with it very clearly. Do not build a relationship with an unbeliever. They will destroy you. And he broke that. Second, Solomon has broken Moses' command for kings. He said he must not take many wives, or his heart will be led astray. You want him, don't do that. They'll take away your heart. And he did it. And then he saw the result. His heart was moved away from God. His wife, to lure him in adultery. Solomon, however, is responsible for his own actions. He knows better, but he acted with his own knowledge. Third, Solomon has evidently fallen into emotional trap. He wants to be like other kings. He wants to have wives and richness, the worldly, everything. His thinking is like the world. See, God sets him apart. He wants us to be different. He doesn't want to be the world. He doesn't want to think like world enjoyment. Other than the link to his wife, Solomon's choice of gods makes no sense. See, one of the pastor had shared, if you look at Solomon's life, right? Why do you want this many wives, right? Think about it. 1,000 wives he has. But that means he never was satisfied with. He's always want more. There is no contentment to him. There is no satisfaction to him. So that led him that one more. When we look at Ecclesiastes, his life, he put a statement. All these things in life is waste. This is useless. That is what Solomon had put in the Ecclesiastes. Why he said it's useless? Because he is the one who enjoyed everything in the world. There is nothing he did not enjoy. Then he finally said it's worthless. I wasted my life chasing all these things. This is useless. Don't fall into this trap. And he warned us at the end of his life. See, one of the pastors told one incident. This is probably applies to Solomon's life. He said that there was a farm. People must have heard this story. And so that farm, there is a cow. And the grass is green. There's a lot of grass is there. And, a very good grass, a lot of green grass is all there. And the cow is surrounded by a fence. It's a thorn fence. So that means, it has ample of space, ample of grass, ample of grass you can eat. But what this cow does is, it has this grass to eat, But what this cow does is it looks at the grass next to the fence, which that means it feels like, okay, this grass maybe is better, tastier than my grass. So what a cow does is it puts his head through the thorns with difficulty, because we're getting the hits and all that, and with the difficulty go and try to eat that grass, which looked, maybe he's thinking, maybe this grass is better to me. And the cow, once it goes there and realizes that, this is not better at all, but what it tries to do is, it doesn't get content with what the grass has to enjoy what it has, but it always wants to go. Stolen waters are always sweet, right? That's what people say. So it wants to go and go to the other grass, feel something is there, maybe better I can get. And this is what Solomon's life is all about. Solomon was thinking, maybe I missed something. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to end my life not enjoying this. Why did I miss all this? Maybe I'll go new. I'll go another one. He went again and again and again and again. There is no end. Thousand wives, think about it. And then he made this all unthinkable. He built a goddess, a sexual goddess. They worship his god. He is a sex goddess. And this king going and worshipping this sex goddess there. I mean, think about it. When Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were taken to Babylon, they were asked to worship the idols of that region because that's their worshipping gods. Even then, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, did not bow down to their gods. But here, Solomon, he is the king, he is the superpower. He killed all these people. All their gods are nowhere to him. He came there, he built temples for them, he worshipped their gods. So that shows how worthless he became, how low he went down to do the things only because to please the woman. See, that is the danger we see this in this story. Very important thing is God deals with these things very clearly. And the Solomon said that, okay, you have done this. God said, I told you, I warned you, you did it, now you pay the consequences. I'm going to take away the kingdom from you. You will suffer. Your children will suffer. Your kingdom will be split into 10 and 2. And you will be given one tribe to you for my sake of King David. I will keep that for some time. And your subordinate will rule. And then slowly God had raised the enemies. Till that time God was kept him peaceful. All the enemies were subsided. But God started raising the enemies. Externally, internally, everything. And Solomon's life at the end ended up in a mess. Think about all that is going on here. The man who had all the favor from God, everything he has, the richness, favor, everything, but his worldly pleasures, that driven him, his lust for women and his sexual appetite had drawn him away from God and fallen into the dangerous sin of committing idolatry. David suffered because of adultery. Solomon suffered, did that commitment of sexual sin, and also because of disobeying God with idolatry. These two things teach us powerful lessons. A lesson that you and I always have to think that don't take God lightly. God is merciful God, but He is a God of judgment also. He wants us to be His children because we are His children, we are in His kingdom. When we are in His kingdom, He watches us. He wants us to be pure. He wants us to be His children, to be His character. If we make a mistake, He'll punish us. He'll treat us. He wants, because we don't want to get lost. And this story, it gives us many things that if you and I, anybody can fall into the similar sins what Solomon had done. It's not about, you don't need 1,000 wives here to fall into sin. One mistake can be costly. And God left Solomon. We see that. God's favor left Solomon. When His favor left, everything fallen away. Amen. Loving Heavenly Father, we thank You for the word You have given us. Lord, teach us how to live a life holy in Your sight, Lord. Lord, when You have chosen us to be in Your kingdom, You want us to be holy. You want us to be righteous. You want us to be a reflection of Your character. Lord, seal us with Your righteous blood. Cover our eyes, cover our mouth with unnecessary talk or unnecessary watching things. Lord, let me not commit any sin that detestable to You, Lord. Lord, let me help us when we come to that weak moments, that we can able to take Your strength and able to stand on it and able to overcome our weak points. Lord, let not the Satan take control of our life, Lord, and drag us to the point of destruction. Lord, open our eyes when we see a problem coming in, that we can able to react accordingly. Let not us fall the same mistakes what Solomon had done. Despite many warnings, Lord, he fall into that sin. Lord, You have told in the scripture many warnings to us, but we still do it. We think You are away from us. You don't see us. King David thought the same thing until he is confronted with Nathan. Lord, if we think like that, we are fooling ourselves, Lord. Lord, help us to overcome our weaknesses. Teach us Your word. Teach us the way of living. And help us that we come to You with a pure heart and a pure mind. We pray for all families who bless them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Now we have a communion.